Look at those birds. What the
Geese.
Look at the geese. Jesus. It's like...
And the south of me. There's a lot of them here, right?
Well, don't interrupt my interview. Holy.
We'll land here. We'll land.
That's pretty,
Pretty wild.
yeah, as long as they're gonna land, I'm okay with whatever they're doing.
We're landing now.
All right, so we're in the middle of birds with Hancock or Hitchcock, right?
Yeah.
Now we're here with Brent MacGrath. Now I've been told that you're the voice of the operation, but unfortunately, your wife Rhonda, she's the looks and the brains and the muscle of the operation. She didn't want to do the interview, so she said I had to talk with you.
Sounds logical.
Sounds logical,
Yeah.
right? So we're stuck with you, right?
You are.
Okay. Let's talk
According to Rhonda.
Right, according to Rhonda. I'm sure according to everybody else in the industry,
probably.
right? It's like, okay, can we just have Rhonda? More Rhonda. We're here. The reason we're here is because of you got a pretty nice colt. Some Beach Somewhere. He was okay too, from what I remember. He was all right.
He was. I hope this guy's half is okay.
You hope this guy's half is okay,
Yeah.
which is still phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let's and you've done hundreds of interviews about Some Beach Somewhere. Everybody knows the story, and if you don't, are you a fan of harness racing? If you don't know the story of Some Beach Somewhere, right?
Seems reasonable. Yeah.
Seems reasonable. So let's talk about this guy and kind of how has it been training? How many sons? How many offspring have you had of Some Beach Somewhere that you've trained over the years?
I don't really know, but probably 6 or 8 in that area.
Is there a reason why, like, are you happy just going to the sales and watching them get bid on and all the, all the money and all the offspring that he's had over the years?
Yeah, I was probably happiest about collecting the stud fees that we got, but yeah, I mean we have businesses that we're into and manage and take our time, and the racing is tough, and we got lucky, and we know that, and probably lightning doesn't strike twice, so we kind of had to work at staying on the outside a little bit, rather than jumping in with all feet. And there was lots of opportunities for partners wanting to get involved, and we just stayed away from it and done our own thing. So that I enjoy the sales. I like seeing the babies. I like watching them and following them, and I like looking at the videos when people are posting them. But that's kind of our involvement, to keep a couple around that we can manage ourselves and look after and look out for and hope for the best.
It's just you and your wife that work with the horses?
No, I have sort of 3 friends at home that help me, 2 on a regular basis. Another gentleman comes in on the weekends and training days and stuff and helps. And
because this is kind of a hobby for you,
yeah, no
right?
question.
Yeah.
It is not kind of a hobby. It's a hobby.
So it's kind of nice that you can come in and come out, and then when you get a horse like this, you're like, yeah, this is what it's all about, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So how he's only had a couple starts this year.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you kind of figure you were coming down here to the Breeders' Crown? Because again, this is going back to Some Beach, traveling to the Breeders' Crown at the Meadowlands was kind of it's a long distance travel. It's not something you want to do all. You drive from Toronto to here, right? Because I'm sure that's where you're kind of stabled in that area. Yeah, it's a long trip. It's not something you want to do all the time. So when did you know that you were bringing this guy down here?
Well, he had some issues early, this horse, and I just took my time with him, backed off, and when I got him going, look, he seemed like he was a nice colt. And obviously our first stop, we were in Nova Scotia with him all winter, and up until August, actually September, qualified in Truro in September, and then we went to Ontario with him. And when you get up there to Mohawk, you kind of get a feel for really what he could be all about. And when he was fine there, we decided that we would come on to the Meadowlands with him to the Breeders' Crown. But if he had been very average at Mohawk, then we would have went home and regrouped and tried again next year.
How has it been, because again, we've seen Captain Treacherous, a bunch of the other Some Beach Somewheres that have gone through the pipeline, but we haven't had the Brent connection. So how's it been, everybody kind of with you back in the mix, and having a start in the Breeders' Crown with a son of Somebeachsomewhere, how has that been? Everybody just being like, oh, we're all of a sudden everybody's having reminders of, 13, 14 years ago when the beach came through and just destroyed everybody. It's kind of nice, like, wow, it's an instant reminder. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's he's getting a lot of hype, a lot of press, a lot of coverage because of his father, because of me probably, and the whole story and his father. And it's probably a little premature for what he's done. But at the end of the day, he's showed the other night he's a competitor. He didn't have a great night the other night, and I expect he'll be better this week. He first of all, the experience and the seasoning that give him. He had a tough race, and he bounced out of it really good. I couldn't be happier with how he is right now. So I expect, as long as he's a little more relaxed this week in the paddock. He had a rough night in the paddock the other night, and hopefully we'll be able to settle him down a little bit this week. He just wouldn't settle the other day, and it's hard on him.
Yeah, and that could be, listen, he's still a rookie. He's still, that was his fourth start, right?
Yeah.
Plus a couple of qualifiers, so not much experience for somebody. It's like people take it for granted, like the ability of these rookies to come in and just do everything perfect. And like you said, he had a little adversity, new paddock, the way things are a little bit different, and it was kind of like, well, this is all new, and you go from a nice quiet detention barn to a paddock, and then he's not seeing horses, and it's a whole new atmosphere. So, are you happy to get the loss out of the way? To not have undefeated?
No, I'm never happy to have a loss, but it certainly does take some pressure off. But what was most concerning the other night was that he wouldn't relax in the hole, and Paul had to move him, and he gapped out with him, trying to settle him down to take some of the aggression out of him. And then of course when he moved him, he was just gone, and get up to 3/4 of 122, and the horse that beat him has like 10 or 12 starts. He's a seasoned horse, a very nice 2-year-old. And he just caught us in the last 100 feet.
Yeah.
So, I don't mark the colt down for that at all.
Right.
My colt, our colt beat our colt is, to me, he couldn't win a better race than he went the other night. I just hope this week that he's relaxed and we can manage him. He loves to follow. He loves to come by horses. That's really his best. I shouldn't say who knows what his best attribute is. He's got 4 races.
Yeah.
But I do know he loves to follow, and he loves to come by.
Man, that race was eerily similar to the Meadowlands race.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was like supposed to getting away 3rd or 4th, gotta move, rolls 3/4, gets beat by a horse in the duel. Like, that was, you don't really like to script it like that, but
it's the truth.
It was, we got post 7, so
yeah.
So, I was watching, I'm like, man, this is just the same, just like Papa. It's like, all right, well, I guess it's cool.
Well, he gets a chance to redeem himself like his father in the Breeders' Crown as well.
Yeah, right.
That was Beach's next race at the Meadowlands, was the Breeders' Crown, and he set a record that night, and that record was 25 years in standing, and it's still, Beach's record's still good. Breeders' Crown 3-year-old pace.
Yeah, and that was his last race,
final
right?
race, yeah.
Hopefully this isn't Beach's last.
Yeah, hopefully just getting going.
Listen, if he wins the Breeders' Crown, you could retire him and go to stud and it's perfectly okay. But I think you're going to want to enjoy racing this horse as long as possible.
We like the horse is healthy and sound, and yeah, we like him. And our intention is to race him, and if he behaves himself and acts the way he should on Friday night, then we'll be back for the Governor's Cup.
Now, I know this isn't it's hypothetical, but you had Some Beach, and like you said, you've got your car business and some of the other things you do, and you get a horse like that, and it's like, this is a kind of a life-altering business going into stallion duty. I'm sure that, let's say things play out well for him next year, whatever the results may be, do you think that you'd be more likely to race this horse into his 4, 5, 6-year-old season, because you've got that cushion now because of what Some Beach gave you and the whole connections?
Yeah, that's a market-driven question, probably. It depends on who's out there. It depends on the competition for stallions. It depends on what state or province that he could stand in and get good mares.
Yeah.
and the kind of stud feed that he would get depend on the 4-year-old program for the next year. I think all of those things would have to come into play. Racing is certainly a lot riskier than breeding, especially if you've already proven, the breeders want to see 2-year-old speed, and they want to see 2-year-old winnings, and they want to see 3-year-old winnings. After that, you're not really, there's a bit of downside, I would say, to racing as a 4-year-old as far as your breeding career, and I don't know how much upside. The 4-year-old programs are certainly better than they were when Beach was racing, so, we would have to just look at all of that. Now,
the only upside is you actually enjoying, is the racing the most enjoyable part, or do you enjoy the other aspects of the business, like what you're talking about, some breeding, some, kind of figuring out the market and all that stuff? What's your
my
trainer,
favorite part of the business is 2-year-old, training the babies.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't really, racing a 4-year-old with a good horse isn't exactly on your list of things that I'm happy about.
No, I'd love to have a nice 4-year-old to race, yes.
Right, but I just mean 2-year-olds is your...
Yeah, no, 2-year-old, definitely. Okay. Definitely. When they turn 3, they lose a little bit of, I lose a little bit of interest, perhaps, in them. I like the 2-year-olds. I like the unpredictability. I like them. I like the fact that you never know what you're going to have today. You never know how they're going to fight. You never know how deep they're going to go. And I like that.
I would say if Some Beach was a trotter, you'd be more, because the open trotter ranks are much more lucrative and more established and things like that. So maybe, like what you're saying, a 4 or 5-year-old open pacer isn't as kind of exciting as what a open trotter can
That's
do.
How it seems. That's how it seems.
Even overseas.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like if you Somebeachsomewhere could have raced in the Prix d'Amérique, you'd be like,
no question. Trotters and pacers, different market altogether. So they have different rules, everything.
Yeah. So I can understand that. So 2-year-olds, and you've got a couple yearlings that are in the pipeline for you.
No, I have one half brother, a stay hungry half brother of this colt.
Yep.
And he's a nice colt, a good looking colt. I haven't done anything with him yet, but.
So you're kind of gonna keep doing with the younger horses, get 1 or 2, and just kind of play around with them.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. And I mean, we've been threatening to do some traveling, and we haven't, Rhonda and I, and it's getting on. We're getting on, and it's time we thought about that a little bit too. So, who knows what the future brings? All I know is we got a race here Friday night that I'm going to pay attention to.
Last thing, the weeks before, this week versus, either Meadowlands Pace Week or Breeders' Crown Week or, North America Cup or some of the other major races that he won, Some Beach. Are you able to, and plus it's 14 years, you're older, more experienced. Are you able, did you enjoy it more now? Did you enjoy it more back then? Were you more stressed then? Or how are the weeks differing between the two horses?
I would say one of the differences is that with Beach, I mean, very, very, very quickly in his career, the horses that he raced against, it didn't feel to me like they could beat him. Okay. If the same horse showed up every week, and I had no reason to think he wouldn't at all, and which was the case, which turned out to be the case. So the only pressure was to get him to the track, keep him out of trouble. That was it. This colt hasn't shown that, so I mean, I'm always looking for little ways that I can tweak him and make him a little bit better, and talk to Paul and the guys that we jog with at home and watching him train. What do we see in here? And this colt, so you're that's on your mind all the time with him, and you think that you've got a shot at beating those other colts. I'm sure he has as much speed as any of them, and what I don't know is how deep he is, and we haven't had enough races to know that. We knew that very quickly in Beach. I mean, his 4th lifetime start, he's had a world record in the Metro, and he not only did he set a world record, he did it going for $1 million. And records that get set for going for $1 million, to me, are a little bit different than a record getting set going for 20,000.
Sure.
That somebody cut a big mile and you got home to set a record. So, this colt hasn't shown that. He's shown possibilities. Yeah. But he hasn't done it.
He's shown elite level racing, but so has 5 others.
That's exactly right. And one of the things I do see and hear from other horsemen is, he did catch their eye, and obviously good horsemen that have experienced the same thing Beach did. It really amazed me that when we started racing Beach, the people are coming up to me after a second lifetime start, and what kind of a horse he really was, and as it turns out, he really was. And this colt has shown a fair amount of that. He just has to step up, and we'll know better after Friday night.
Yeah.
He's got a fair position. He's got a class that's competitive. It should be a heck of a race. Nobody's going to get down as half in anything reasonable. I wouldn't expect with 6 or 7 horses that think they can win.
Yeah.
When you get a layover, it kind of puts the rest of them at a disadvantage.
When do you breathe? Like, is it whether it's this horse or Beach or whatever? When you check the horse up and you're like, okay, it's out of my hands, like it's in Paul's hands now, or is it when you get to the track, or do you never kind of settle? Do you watch the races? I know trainers that have to go in the corner and watch it on their phone, or can't even watch the race, or are you urging the horse? Are you driving Paul along with the horse? Like
we, I don't get too excited. I get a little bit worked up if he's worked up. As far as the race itself and the money and everything that goes with that doesn't do anything as far as emotionally to me. We have a number of businesses that are very successful. If this horse comes out of the Meadowlands with no check, it's not going to change our life one bit. We're going home. We're going to do everything we've always done before the race. So I don't have that pressure from the owners either. The partners that are in the horse we've been together for 15 years, and there's just never a negative conversation about anything. If the horse isn't what we need or what we want, we move on and do something different. It's past, it's over. So, and a lot of trainers don't have that. They've paid big money for this horse on their recommendation, and the owners are expecting a lot, and so are mine. But at the end of the day, I know how my owners will handle good news or bad.
It sounds just you never get below that negative line of pressure or excitement or disappointment. It's like, well, if he loses, we're disappointed, but it's not really like you can kind of look at the big picture and be like, damn, we've had way more upper level moments than anything that could be negative.
And if he wins, it's not going to change our life a whole bunch.
It's awesome. You can
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, you can kind of decide what you're going to do. So good luck on and I guess you gotta get one of these Meadowlands paces. That's moving forward.
We gotta get in another one.
Yeah. So good luck in the Breeders' Crown, and
thank you.
And enjoy the week and enjoy the trip back home.
We're enjoying it. Love it here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.